persistent structural deficit. Rebecca?
We discussed this at last month's committee of the whole, and after that meeting, all of you had the opportunity to rank the mitigation options that were presented, as well as the remaining structural deficit work group ideas that were prioritized. I sent everyone an email with that information. I do have copies if anyone would like that.
I was.
Did you get 100% participation?
I did not get 100% participation.
Shame. Shame.
The majority did participate.
Should have got 100%.
Oh.
Just briefly wanted to go over these, not in any depth, because I believe the next steps for this would be discussions before the appropriate standing committees.
There you go, Tom. Did you print 10?
More?
10 is,
I don't need one. I got one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to.
Nope, there's another one.
Yep, I'm good.
We're good here, thank you.
Now you got enough.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
You want this just in case?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I don't believe we need to go into any of these with great depth, because the next step likely should be that they be discussed at the appropriate standing committees of the Common Council, as well as with other boards and commissions like the PFC and the Library Board. I think it might be a good idea for there to be a joint meeting with each of those boards to go over the items that are relevant to those departments. Probably two separate meetings, not having one with all. That's okay. But just for the purpose of providing information for people watching or those in the audience, there were the top 5 mitigation options that we went over last time that were ranked by the Common Council. The first was the fire protection fee. The second was the joint fire equipment. And third is the FEMA Safer Grant. The fourth is the wheel tax. And the fifth is to cut additional or cut programs. And then the structural deficit work group ideas that were left over that we hadn't over in depth. They were categorized into a priority, pursue, probably pursue, and then possibly pursue, and then there's probably not. So we'll be presenting those to the appropriate boards in the categories so they can look those over. I don't know. As I said, I wasn't going to go in depth, but if anyone has any questions before we go into the next steps with this.
Mr. President, when you said meeting with the other committees, would we do this as a committee as a whole with them, or would it be?
Joint meeting. We've had it before with the Police and Fire Commission, so we just
Okay.
everyone would be invited.
Okay.
Both of the boards.
Thanks.
Mr. President.
Alderman Weigel.
Rebecca, I'm looking at the wheel tax, and it says replace special assessment process. I mean, is that a given that if we adopt that, we'd be getting rid of the special assessment process? I guess I don't see the two as being connected necessarily. I'd hate to be the last person having to pay a special assessment on my street when suddenly we decided to stop doing it, when it's a long-standing process of this city that we've been doing for decades. Seems to me it would be.
And I would agree, Alderman Weigel. I had the same thought. That's not a given. It's a discussion that this council has to make.
Typically, when people have adopted wheel tax, they've made changes to their special assessment process, where they've taken maybe the roads out of the special assessment and just left it at sidewalks. Or
But if we do that, then we're not really addressing the structural deficit at all. We're just changing a funding source.
Right.
It's not new money then.
Correct, and actually, the transportation, since we bond for the majority of this. It's not really that much of a savings for the structural deficit under our levy or ERP limits. And the savings more has to do with the special assessment process. The time we spend
I understand
doing
that.
it,
I understand.
the resources, that kind of thing. So if you weren't gonna replace it, it's not gonna help mitigate.
Right.
So, but certainly, all those things can be discussed.
Is there any further discussion on this, or any comments or questions?
Not right now.
Then if not, we'll move on to items 3 and 4 and 5, which are closed session. Committee of whole may convene in closed session pursuant to provisions of Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85, parent 1, parent E, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the investing of public funds or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Committee of the whole may reconvene in open session after completion of the closed session to consider the balance of the agenda. And that's for items 3, 4, and 5.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into closed session. Alderman Stefanski.
Aye.
Alderman Rowe.
Aye.
Alderman Haas.
Aye.
Alderman Vitale.
Aye.
Alderman Tenorio.
Aye.
Alderwoman Reinke.
Aye.
Alderwoman Keane.
Aye.
Alderman Weigel.
Aye.
Alderwoman Grisham. And the chair votes aye.